Hello, everybody. Can you hear me? Just anyone in the chat? Anyways, okay. So welcome to the Saturday Night Pub Quiz. This is just a quick little quiz, just to keep everyone entertained during these fairly rough times. Hope everybody is keeping safe and doing well. Hope you're also keeping nice and isolated during this time. So, the rules of the quiz, fairly simple. You write down the answers on a piece of paper or in a Word document or whatever you want. You can play with friends, as many teams as you want. There is absolutely no limitation on that whatsoever. I mean, because let's face it, what am I going to do? I'm in isolation as well, so there's that. Don't Google answers, or do. I can't stop you. Again, I'm in isolation. So, main point is, we're just here to have fun. We're here to chat in the comments section. We're just here to have a good time in general. So, grab a drink, get ready, and we're going to start with the first category, which is general knowledge. Okay, so hope everyone has buffed up on this sort of thing. Okay, so going on to the first question. Question number 1. As soon as this behaves. There we go. Which philosopher was stuffed and displayed at University College London on his death in 1832? Which philosopher was stuffed and displayed at University College London on his death in 1832? Question number 2. Pogonophobia is the fear or dislike of what? That's pogonophobia is the fear or dislike of what? I have misspelt dislike there, which shows you exactly how much care and attention I have clearly put into this quiz. Moving on to question 3. What did W. L. Judson invent in 1891? What did W. L. Judson invent in 1891? Bit of a difficult one, that one. Think clothing. That is a clue. Think clothing. Okay, moving on. In 1800, the capital of the United States was moved to Washington, D.C. from which city? In 1800, the capital of the United States was moved to Washington, D.C. from which city? The US capital actually moved around quite a lot in its early days. It moved from several cities, bit of a clue, on the East Coast, none on the West Coast because they hadn't got there yet. So think along those lines. Moving on to question 5. Who wrote the book Lolita? Who wrote the book Lolita? For the love of God, do not Google Lolita because you will get a warning from Google. I wish I was joking there. Question number 6. What is the dot on a lowercase I called? What is the dot on a lowercase I called? Moving on to question 7. What is the only town name in the British Isles to end in an exclamation mark? What is the only town in the British Isles to end in an exclamation mark? It sounds like a novel when you read it out loud. That's another clue, just in case you're not familiar with the many, many stupid names of towns in the British Isles. Moving on to question 8. What is the name given to a horse riding matador? What is the name given to a horse riding matador? I'm pretty sure I'm not the only person out there who enjoys seeing matadors get gored. I am just joking. Of course I don't enjoy seeing anyone get gored, apart from people who stab bulls. Anyways, moving on to question 9. In computing, what does RAM stand for? That is RAM. In computing, what does RAM stand for? RAM. Of course, anyone familiar with the IT crowds will just know, memory is RAM. So that's pretty much all I'm getting from that. I can't say RAM now anymore without thinking of that, without thinking of MOS, basically. So that has ruined it now for the rest of my life. Moving on to question 10, the last question of the general knowledge round. Known for the song War, singer Charles Hatcher was also known by what name? Known for the song War, singer Charles Hatcher was also known by what name? Thanks, Laura. No, I'm glad you're looking forward to it. I've put at least an hour's worth of work into this, so hope you enjoy it. Okay, moving on to round 2. History. That's my whatever that is. As I said, it's been a hell of a week for me, so... Okay, so on to question 1. Name the one and only British Prime Minister to be assassinated. The one and only British Prime Minister to be assassinated. Not other Prime Ministers who you wish were assassinated. That doesn't count. I'm pretty sure we'd be here all day. Question number 2. Which famous Greek was a student of Plato and a teacher to Alexander the Great? Which famous Greek was a student of Plato and a teacher to Alexander the Great? In case anyone is wondering, there's a reason why I'm not on camera. Well, 2 reasons. 1, I don't have a camera, and 2, I look like a dropped flan at the moment. So nobody wants to see that, especially when they're trying to avoid the plague. Moving on to question number 3. Which politician was born in a toilet during a dance? Which politician was born in a toilet during a dance? Sounds weird, is weird. Moving on to question 4. The inhabitants of which town hanged a monkey during the Napoleonic Wars? The inhabitants of which town hanged a monkey during the Napoleonic Wars? If you have a problem with the questions, leave it for the answers. That's all I'm going to say. Moving on to question 5. What was the Roman name for Scotland? What was the Roman name for Scotland? The Scots famously only kept out because of a wall. At least if you believe Blackadder. Question number 6. What was the original function of the Leaning Tower of Pisa? What was the original function of the Leaning Tower of Pisa? Don't know if anyone has actually been to Pisa. It is really fun, basically running along the line of tourists and giving them all high fives. Something that no one can actually do at the moment. But, you know, give it 6 months. Moving on to question 7. Sorry, that should be question 7. Apparently it doesn't want to work. 1 second. There we go. Who captained the ship the Pelican, later called the Golden Hind? Who captained the ship the Pelican, later called the Golden Hind? I actually walked past it. The Golden Hind, I walked past the Golden Hind early last week, and it was completely deserted. It was fantastic. The only thing that ruins London is Londoners. Moving on to question 8. Which French royal dynasty included characters such as Charles the Bald, Pepin the Short, and Louis the Stammerer? Which French royal dynasty included characters such as Charles the Bald, Pepin the Short, and Louis the Stammerer? Because you're not a truly great king unless you've got a really stupid nickname. Moving on to question 9. Who did Norway gain their independence from in 1905? Who did Norway gain their independence from in 1905? Norway lost its independence quite a few times actually throughout history, through the Kalmar Union, through unions to several other countries, and the final one ended in 1905. And finally, question 10. Who shot and killed Lee Harvey Oswald? Who shot and killed Lee Harvey Oswald? There's a reason why I didn't say who killed JFK, because we'd be here all day. Okay, and now we go on to our third round. Theme tunes. For nostalgia buffs out there, these are all tunes from 90s TV shows. They all appeared on British television at some point. I'm really sorry if there's anyone who's not familiar with British TV in the 90s. Hopefully you'll get it, but we'll see. Okay, so moving on to our first clip. Okay, so who did that? Which TV show did that belong to? Sorry, I'm not very good at presenting quizzes, okay? So I apologise if I'm a little bit stuttery and talking too much, but hopefully it doesn't detract from the quiz too much. Okay, so moving on to clip number 2. Clip number 3. And clip number 4. And clip number 5. Clip number 6. And clip number 7. And clip number 8. And clip number 9. And finally, clip number 10. Alright, so those are all the theme tunes. I'm going to play them once more, very quickly. I'm sorry, Christine, there are no American versions to those. I couldn't be asked, I guess? No, that's not true. I wanted to sort of stick with British ones, first and foremost. Everything's nice and collected. But if I do another one of these, I promise I will do more international ones so that everyone gets a good grasp of them. I'm really, really sorry. Okay, so let's start with clip 1. Clip 2. Clip 3. Clip 4. As soon as it decides to play. 5. Clip 6. Clip 7. As soon as it works. And clip 8. Again, not wanting to work. And clip 9. Finally, clip 10. Okay, so we're about halfway through. That was the last theme tune of category 3, theme tunes. I'm going to give you all about a minute or so just to collate your answers, and then we're going to go over them, go over the answers. Okay, so get ready for that. So let's have a look at the comments in the meantime. Do Disney. Why? Why would I do Disney? It all sounds the same. Or do a 70s pop quiz. I mean, I guess I could, but I'll be honest, there's only one person I know who is actually going to get all of that, so it seems a tad unfair. Anyway, I mean, I hope everyone is enjoying this so far. As I said, this is just my first quiz, okay, so just something to sort of keep us all occupied, take our minds off what is happening outside. I've no idea whether his partner is listening or not, but there's a very good friend of mine who is in hospital at the moment, suffering from coronavirus and pneumonia. So I really hope he gets better soon. But in the meantime, we're just here to have a nice, fun evening together, and just sort of take our minds off it. Okay, so it is time to go over the answers, and we'll start predictably with round 1, general knowledge. So, which philosopher was stuffed and displayed at University College London on his death in 1832? The answer is Jeremy Bentham. Jeremy Bentham. Supposedly was a sufferer of pagonophobia. That's why no members of her cabinet ever had a beard. Question 3. What did W.L. Judson invent in 1891? The answer was the zip. So, all you guys, you know who to blame. Question 4. In 1800, the capital of the United States was moved to Washington, D.C. From which city? It was Philadelphia. The capital had been in Philadelphia since 1790. And before that, it had moved all over the East Coast. It had been in Boston, it had been in New York, and eventually settled in Washington in 1800. And then burned down 12 years later by the Brits. So, go us. I guess. I don't know. Anyways, moving on quickly from that. Question number 5. Who wrote the book Lolita? It was Vladimir Nabokov. Vladimir Nabokov. I am probably butchering that name. I am very sorry. Question 6. What is the dot on a lowercase I called? It is called a tittle. No sniggering, please. Question number 7. Which is the only town name in the British Isles to end in an exclamation mark? It is Westward Ho. Westward Ho. As I said, it sounds very much like some sort of romance novel, but that's neither here nor there. Question number 8. What is the name given to a horse-riding matador? A horse-riding matador is called, not a Westward Ho, it needs to be the actual title card. It is called a rehoniador. Rehoniador. Again, probably butchering that completely, but don't blame me. I just don't have a way with languages or pronunciation or anything in particular. Question 9. Moving quickly on. In computing, what does RAM stand for? What does RAM stand for? It stands for Random Access Memory. And finally, number 10. Known for the song War, singer Charles Hatcher also went by what name? He went by the name Edwin Starr. Edwin Starr. Okay, moving on to round 2. History. And the first question was, name the one and only British Prime Minister to be assassinated. His name was Spencer Perceval. Question number 2. Which famous Greek was a student of Plato and a teacher to Alexander the Great? His name was... Come on, it wasn't Spencer Perceval. I'm having real trouble with this program at the moment. Hang on. His name was Aristotle. Plato being a student to Socrates, and then so on and so on, down to Aristotle and Alexander the Great. Which famous politician was born in a toilet during a ball? It was Winston Churchill. His mother, an American, gave birth to Winston Churchill in the cloakroom in the toilet of Blenheim Palace during a ball. Question number 4. The inhabitants of which town hanged a monkey? Legend to this. Some people suspect that it wasn't a literal monkey. Some people suspect it was something far more grim than that. On board Napoleonic ships, there was this. There was a position called a powder monkey, usually occupied by a very small boy. Now, the legend goes that a French ship washed up on the shore near Hartlepool, and they caught either a monkey as a mascot, as a ship mascot, or a powder monkey. Either way, pretty grim. Question number 5. What was the Roman name for Scotland? It was Caledonia. Question number 6. What was the original function of the Leaning Tower of Pisa? The original function was a bell tower. And if you go there today, you can still find 5 bells, all tuned to a different note on the musical scale. Number 7. Who captained the ship the Pelican, later called the Golden Hind? It was Sir Francis Drake. Used to fight the Spanish during the wars under Queen Elizabeth I, when Spain was trying to attack and change the country back to Catholicism. And England was just basically happy with the whole piracy thing. I am glossing over a lot of history there, but that's a summary of it. Question number 8. Which French royal dynasty included characters such as Charles the Bald, Pepin the Short, and Louis the Stammerer? This is quite a difficult one, but if you got it, well done on that. It was the Carolingian dynasty. Carolingian dynasty, started by Charles Martel, also known as Charles the Hammer, and included such luminaries as Charlemagne, who is considered the progenitor of the Holy Roman Empire. Question number 9. Which country did Norway belong to until 1905? Who did they gain their independence from in 1905? It was Sweden. As I said, Norway entered into several personal unions for the best part of 600 years before gaining their independence. They were in unions with Denmark, they were in unions with Sweden, but they finally became an independent country in 1905. And answer number 10. Who shot and killed Lee Harvey Oswald? It was Jack Ruby. I didn't say anything about why he killed Lee Harvey Oswald. The official reason was that he did it for Jackie Kennedy, but I'm not going to get into any conspiracy territory there, but supposedly there is some doubt over that. But officially it was Jack Ruby. Okay, moving on to theme tunes. Round 3. And we'll go through this quite quickly. The first tune was Get Your Own Back. Great kids show where they would bring on adults they didn't like and gunge them. Theme number 2 was Gladiators. I had to cut off the music before it got to the part where the singer, literally says, "Can you feel the power of the gladiators?" would have spoilt the entire quiz. Theme number 3 was Brookside. It was a famous soap, Channel 4 soap, running from the 80s to 2001, 2002, set in a close in Liverpool. I'm surprised anyone watched it. Going on to theme number 4. That was Grange Hill. That was, of course, the new theme tune to Grange Hill. The old theme tune to Grange Hill was a lot better. Theme number 5 was, as soon as it works, was The League of Gentlemen. If ever you want a terrifically weird and depressing comedy, that's your go-to. Theme number 6 was The Third Rock from the Sun, starring Jonathan Lithgow, who starred as Winston Churchill in The Crown on Netflix, which blows my mind. Question number 7. Theme tune was to The Fast Show. Theme tune number 8 was to Keeping Up Appearances. Theme tune number 9 was to The Animals of Farthing Wood, which was the most depressing kids show this side of Watership Down. Pretty much every main animal character dies in it. So that's fun. No, Third Rock from the Sun isn't British, but it did air on British television, so I'm counting it. I'm very sorry, Heather. And theme tune number 10, the last one, was for the BBC News. This was set around 95, 98, before it got basically turned into a techno beat. Okay, so tot up your scores. Don't have to write them down just yet, put them public just yet, but we're moving on to round 4. TV, film and games. And question number 1. What was the name of the cabin boy in Captain Pugwash? What was the name of the cabin boy in Captain Pugwash? Question number 2. What is the name of Dr. Evil's cat in Austin Powers? What is the name of Dr. Evil's cat in Austin Powers? Question number 3. What was the name of the last Sega-made console? What was the name of the last Sega-made video game console? Question number 4. In the film Groundhog Day, which song does Bill Murray wake up to every morning? In the film Groundhog Day, which song does Bill Murray wake up to every morning? And if you know the song, waking up to it just once is enough to ruin your day. Question number 5. In the game series Homefront, America is invaded and colonized by which country? In the game series Homefront, America is invaded and colonized by which country? In typical American Red Dawn fashion. Question number 6. Name the only dwarf that doesn't speak in Snow White and the Seven Dwarfs. Name the only dwarf that doesn't speak in Snow White and the Seven Dwarfs. Question number 7. In which year did veteran actor Warren Beatty announce the wrong film as the winner of Best Picture at the Oscars? In which year did veteran actor Warren Beatty announce the wrong film as the winner of Best Picture at the Oscars? If you've seen that entire event, it's really, really funny, and I suggest you see this on YouTube right now. Question number 8. Please give the full names of all 4 core characters of the Channel 4 sitcom Father Ted. Please give the full names of all 4 core characters of the Channel 4 sitcom Father Ted. Question number 9. Name the one and only film that author Stephen King directed. Name the one and only film that author Stephen King directed. If you've ever seen it, it's trash. There is a reason why he's an author and not a director. But that's just me. Moving on to question number 10. In which British TV comedy did future Doctor David Tennant play a transgender barmaid? In which British TV comedy did future Doctor David Tennant play a transgender barmaid? That should be Tennant with a capital T. I'm extremely sorry. Okay, that is the end of the media round. We move on now to round 5. 2010. How much do you remember about 10 years ago? I remember nothing because I had just entered university and I had spent at least 12 months in an alcoholic daze. So, I mean, you know, the more things change, the more things stay the same. But never mind. Moving quickly on to question number 1. In April, an event caused the most disruption to European air travel since World War II. What was it? In April, an event caused the most disruption to European air travel since World War II. What was it? Question 2. Also in April, incumbent Prime Minister Gordon Brown harmed his chances of retaining power after calling Gillian Duffy what during the general election campaign? Also in April, incumbent Prime Minister Gordon Brown harmed his chances of retaining power after calling Gillian Duffy what during the general election campaign? Question number 3. In May, Jessica Watson becomes the youngest person to sail solo, non-stop and unassisted around the world. How old was she? In May, Jessica Watson becomes the youngest person to sail solo, non-stop and unassisted around the world. How old was she? Moving on to question 4. Sergei Stepanov performed at the 2010 Eurovision Song Contest with his group the Sunstroke Project for Moldova. They only placed 22nd, but how is Sergei better known on the internet? Sergei Stepanov performed at the 2010 Eurovision Song Contest with his group the Sunstroke Project for Moldova. They only placed 22nd, but how is Sergei better known on the internet? Question number 5. In June, John Eisner and Nicholas Mahut went down in history as participating in the longest what in history? In June, John Eisner and Nicholas Mahut, I hope that's how you pronounce his name, went down in history as participating in the longest what in history? A slight clue. It was June. So think about what happens in June. Question number 6. As soon as it wants to work. There we go. In August, a Chilean mine collapsed, trapping 33 miners 700 meters below ground. But why was Johnny Barrios Rojas not so keen to be rescued? In August, a Chilean mine collapsed, trapping 33 miners 700 meters below ground. But why was Johnny Barrios Rojas not so keen to be rescued? Absolutely flawless pronunciation there. Question number 7. Which TV period drama, written by a Tory peer, first aired in September this year? Which TV period drama, written by a Tory peer, first aired in September this year? Question number 8. In October, a woman in Coventry was fined £250 for doing what? In October, a woman in Coventry was fined 250 quid for doing what? And it caused a lot of commentary. A lot. Question number 9. In November, politician and Nobel laureate Aung San Suu Kyi was released from house arrest after being held since which year? In November, politician and Nobel laureate Aung San Suu Kyi was released from house arrest after being held since which year? And finally, question number 10. World War III was on everyone's mind in November after North Korea did what? World War III was on everyone's mind in November after North Korea did what? Okay, on to the final round. Soon as it likes to work. Sorry, the thing likes to play up every now and then. Round 6, picture round. Okay, so here you're going to have to pay special attention to the picture and my question. Starting with the first one. In 2007, this statue was installed in a British museum. Who is it of? In 2007, this statue was installed in a British museum. Who is it of? Question number 2. What is the common name of this internet meme? What is the common name of this internet meme? Question number 3. Again, if it likes to behave, there it is. Who is the actor underneath this makeup? Who is the actor underneath this makeup? Question number 4. Who painted The Birth of Venus? Who painted The Birth of Venus? Question number 5. These abominations were the mascots for which event? These things were the mascots for which event? Question number 6. This is a mugshot of Elvis taken in 1970. But what were the mugshots for? This is a mugshot of Elvis taken in 1970, but what was the mugshot for? Question number 7. Which country is this an outline of? Which country is this an outline of? Please keep your minds out of the gutter. We all know what it looks like, but what is the actual country? Question number 8. Which Disney film has this character as the main villain? Which Disney film has this character as the main villain? Question number 9. In which famous TV show is this location featured? In which famous TV show is this location featured? And finally, the last question of the quiz. Who does this flag represent? Who does this flag represent? And just to recap the picture quiz, just in case you didn't see anything. In 2007, this statue was installed in a British museum. Who is this of? What is the common name of this internet meme? Who is the actor underneath this makeup? Who painted The Birth of Venus? Who did these mascots represent? Or which event did they represent? Start behaving. This mugshot is of Elvis in 1970. What is it for? Name the country that this outline is of. Which Disney film was this a villain for? Name the TV show that this location was featured in. Well, who does this flag represent? Who does this flag represent? And that is the end of the quiz. So I'm going to give you about a minute or so just to collate all your answers, and then I'll be going over everything so we can mark it all. And then afterwards, put your score in the chat, see who did the best. So just going to go through the comments here. Hey, they are cute. No, they are not. They are not cute. Those mascots were an abomination. They look like plasticine models that 3-year-olds had smashed together and then had been painted. Although they were certainly better than the official logo of the 2012 Olympics, which, well, I mean, we all know what they look like. So, but I'm certainly not going to recount that, because I think I have family members who are listening to this, and I would rather not have to say those words in front of them. Also, Christine wants a Harry Potter quiz. Considering I know nothing about Harry Potter and haven't read or watched anything past the second book, no. Just no. Okay, is everyone done? Hopefully, because we start with the answers for round 4, TV, film, and games. Okay, so what was the name? What was the name of the cabin boy in Captain Pugwash? It was Roger the cabin boy, except it wasn't. It was Tom. It was Tom the cabin boy, not Roger. Everyone likes to think it's Roger. It's not. It's definitely Tom the cabin boy. What is the name of Dr. Evil's cat in Austin Powers? Mr. Bigglesworth. The hairless cat was called Mr. Bigglesworth. What was the name of the last Sega-made video game console? It was the Dreamcast. Sega Dreamcast. Sorry, that's a South Park thing. Question number 4. In the film Groundhog Day, which film does Bill Murray wake up to every morning? The poor bastard wakes up to I Got You Babe by Sonny and Cher. It's not surprising he tried to kill himself. Question number 5. In the game series Homefront, America is invaded and colonized by which country? It was North Korea. So playing extremely hard and loose with the realms of fiction there. Question number 6. Which is the only dwarf that never speaks in Snow White and the Seven Dwarfs? It was Dopey. Number 7. In which year did veteran actor Warren Beatty announce the wrong film as the winner of the Best Picture at the Oscars? It was 2017. He wrongly announced La La Land as the winner. It was actually Moonlight. The fault was actually down to 2 accountants from PricewaterhouseCoopers who were too busy taking selfies with each other to actually handle the right envelope. So that's promising. That inspires a lot of confidence. Number 8. Please give the full names of all 4 core characters of the Channel 4 sitcom Father Ted. They were Ted Crilly, Jack Hackett, Dougal Maguire, and Mrs. Doyle. I will accept Mrs. Doyle because her actual name was never revealed in the show itself. Her name was revealed, I think, in an accompanying book, but in the show itself, I will accept both, but I will accept Mrs. Doyle, and I might have to just double check this one, so if you bear with me, highly unprofessional, but I will double check the name. Bear with me. Okay, so her name, as drafted in a script, is Joan Doyle. So if you put that down, well done, but I'm not expecting it. Don't worry, you could get away with Mrs. Doyle. Number 9. Name the one and only film that author Stephen King has directed. It was Maximum Overdrive. If you've seen it, it's a classic. It's a wonder why it didn't get more Oscars, or indeed any. And number 10. In which British TV comedy did future Doctor David Tennant play a transgender barmaid? As soon as it likes to work. It was Rab C. Nesbitt. Rab C. Nesbitt. For those of you unfamiliar, it was about a Scottish unemployed person who spent his entire time skiving. It was really, really, really funny. But whenever it got repeats in America, they had to put subtitles over the over the speech, which makes it even funnier, actually, to me, if anything. Okay, so moving on to what happened 10 years ago. So, in April, an event caused the most disruption to European air travel since World War II. What was it? The eruption of an Icelandic volcano. You'll notice I didn't write the volcano, and I'm certainly not going to pronounce it because I don't want to cause a minor diplomatic incident. Question 2. Also in April, incumbent Prime Minister Gordon Brown harmed his chances of retaining power after calling Gillian Duffy what during the general election? He called her a bigoted woman. The mistake was supposedly that he left his microphone on when getting into his car to drive away. And the whole conversation with his aide where he called her a bigoted woman was overheard by all the press. And he then spent 42 minutes afterwards in her house apologising. And at the same time, Gillian Duffy herself said that she would not be voting for Labour or the Tories or anyone because none of them had her confidence. So that was a fun election. Question number 3. In May, Jessica Watson becomes the youngest person to sail solo, non-stop and unassisted around the world at the age of 16. In May, Jessica Watson was 16 when she was the youngest person, to sail solo, non-stop and unassisted around the world. Question number 4. Sergei Stepanov performed at the 2010 Eurovision Song Contest with his group The Sunstroke Project for Moldova. They only placed 22nd, but how is Sergei better known on the internet? He is known as the Epic Sax Guy. Yep, that's right. There are 2 meme questions in this quiz. I have no life. Question number 5. In June, John Eisner and Nicholas Mahut went down in history as participating in the longest what in history. It was the longest tennis match. It was at Wimbledon. It took place over 3 days, and it went on for a record-breaking number of hours. Question 6. In August, a Chilean mine collapsed, trapping 33 miners 700 meters below ground. But why was Johnny Barrios Rojas not so keen to be rescued? It was because his wife and mistress both turned up to see him be rescued. The story goes that neither knew, well, certainly the wife didn't know the existence of the mistress until they both turned up, claiming that they were Rojas's other half. And since his rescue, and in the years afterwards, he divorced his wife and moved in with his mistress, and then promptly moved out again. So possibly the mine was a good idea. Anyways, moving on. Question 7. Which TV period drama, written by a Tory peer, first aired in September this year? It was, of course, Downton Abbey. Question number 8. In October, a woman in Coventry was fined £250 for doing what? This made international headlines because she put a cat in a bin. That was deemed 250 quid's worth, because you shouldn't put cats in bins, apparently. Question number 9. In November, politician and Nobel laureate Aung San Suu Kyi was released from house arrest after being held since which year? It was 1989. That was 21 years of house arrest. And question number 10. World War III was on everyone's mind in November after North Korea did what? They bombarded the island of Yongpyong. They killed 4 South Koreans, 2 civilians, and 2 members of the South Korean military, and caused it was quite a serious diplomatic incident, essentially, but because the levels of diplomacy between the 2 countries are so high, mediated by America, no one decided that war was the best option to deal with it there. It was the bombardment of Yongpyong. And so, on to the picture round. As soon as this behaves. There we go. So, in 2007, this statue was installed in a British museum. Who is it of? It was of Alan Turing. Of course, there was another statue of Alan Turing installed in London, quite recently actually, with him holding an apple, which was of course the way that he killed himself. He laced an apple with cyanide. The statue that you see there in the picture was actually installed 2007 in the Bletchley Park Museum of Code Breaking. Question number 2. What is the common name for this internet meme? It is Hide the Pain Harold. This was after the actor, who comes from Romania, posed for a series of stock photos without actually being told what they were for, and not quite understanding the necessary facial expression needed. So he pulled an awkward generic face, and has since gone down in internet history. Question number 3. Who is the actor underneath this makeup? It is Daniel Radcliffe. It's for the film Horns. Question number 4. Who painted The Birth of Venus? It was Sandro Botticelli. Question number 5. Those things were the mascots for the London 2012 games. They were supposed to represent drops of steel that had cooled and solidified and then bizarrely grown eyes. Yeah, it's about part of the course, really, for the design work that went into the London 2012 games. Moving on. Question number 6. This is a mugshot of Elvis taken in 1970, but what was the mugshot for? This is a bit of a trick question. There was no reason. Elvis was collecting an honorary police badge from the Denver Sheriff's Department. Elvis was quite the fan of collecting honorary police badges. And one of the reasons, the famous picture of Elvis shaking hands with Richard Nixon is because Elvis actually really wanted to be taken seriously by the FBI as an informant. And he really pushed his obsession with collecting police memorabilia during this time. So the police essentially allowed him to have a mugshot taken of him. There is another mugshot of him taken in the 50s where he was actually not charged, but he was definitely arrested for common assault, which is somehow less glamorous. Question number 7. Which country is this an outline of? It was Sweden. And not at all what you were thinking of. We all know about the Mull of Kintyre rule, but there should be a Swedish rule perhaps. Which Disney film has this character as the main villain? It was The Emperor's New Groove. I've only seen it once. I mean, that's me admitting to actually watching a Disney film, so that's pretty astounding in the first place, but yes. Question number 9. In which famous TV show is this location featured? It was Breaking Bad. It was the car wash that Walter White first worked in and then bought as a cover for his drug money. And then, question number 10, final answer. Who does this flag represent? It represents, as soon as it likes to behave itself, the state of Hawaii. The only American flag to feature the Union flag on it still. That is as a result of Hawaii being a British property up until, I think, the late 1800s, and then being bought by America. So, that is the last one. That is the last answer, the last question. Tot up your scores, and if you are keen to find out how you did versus everyone else, please put your answers in the message board below, and compare to other people. Obviously, I've got absolutely no way to determine who is the winner just yet until all the answers are in, but I hope you all enjoyed the quiz. I'm sorry if my presentation style wasn't particularly polished or on point at any times. This was done just as a spur of the moment thing to sort of, I don't know, lift everyone's spirits up, just to sort of engage people with a little bit of sort of sociability as much as anything, because I think at a time like this is it's something that we could really all do with, I guess. So we're getting some scores in now. We've got a 25 from Christine. We've got from my parents, of all people, we've got a 13 and a 24. So currently Christine is on top. We've got Heather with a 20. So in the leaderboard so far, we've got Christine, then my mum, and then Heather. So well done to everyone who took part. I hope you enjoyed it. Keep safe. Look out for everybody. And I will see whether I get to do another one of these at some point in the next week or so. Until then, goodbye.